What's up guys, it's Paraly5er here. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Grounded 1.4.2 patch notes and breaking them down. Now, this did release on May 9th, and I'm recording this on May 12th, 3 days later. Why the delay, Paraly5er? Well, the delay is because I've been playing the patch, and you know, I like to get a feel for the patch once it's released before I make a video on the patch notes, breaking it down, seeing which ones have and haven't been fixed and these kind of things. This patch is very interesting. Let's talk about it. So, patch 1.4.2 released, and these are the bug fixes changes. You can now thumbs up or thumbs down a published playground. This is an amazing change. Finally, we can tell people, this map, really good, play this map. This map, really bad. And it's not just based off of downloads, it's based off of if the map is good or bad. Now, I've wanted this feature for a long time, and I'm glad it is finally in the game. There is also a filter playgrounds feature, which I didn't even know about, apparently, in 1.4, that allows you to filter down to different sort of, like, map types, I guess. So you could have, like, adventure maps, or, like, solo maps, multiplayer maps, those kind of things. That is apparently a filter as well that I didn't even realize was added in 1.4, because I don't remember seeing it in the patch notes, but apparently it exists. And now there's also descriptions for playgrounds as well, which is very cool. The Broodmother Roar can now be perfect blocked. Now, having played the game, this is now true. You can parry the Broodmother's Scream. But if you parry the Broodmother's Scream, you still get the attack debuff, and you still get the venom debuff. The only thing that doesn't happen is you don't take damage from the Scream. This is stupid. If I parry the Scream, I shouldn't get the attack debuff, and I shouldn't get a venom debuff from if the infused Broodmother has venom. Just shouldn't happen. But it does. I like that it can be parried, but it should have been, you know, so that it doesn't debuff you if you do parry it. The Mantis attacks no longer always trigger additional effects, even when blocked or perfect blocked. This just isn't true. I've fought the Mantis since the update released, and I know it says they no longer always trigger, but they still trigger, like, if you block attacks, her abilities still trigger and you're still going to get obliterated. Yeah, I don't even know what this changed. I'm going to be honest. I don't know what this change means. They don't always trigger the effect. So what, is it random that they trigger the effects? Does it trigger the effects on certain combos? Like, what did you change? Be more specific, because I don't notice any difference whatsoever in the fight. I'm going to be honest. The Fury effect can now trigger combo finisher effects. Who uses fists in the big 2024? Nobody. It's quite literally not been good for over a year now since they nerfed it into the ground. Explosive damage from enemies can be blocked with shields again, including infused-based explosive damage. Now, it says again. I don't remember explosive damage ever being blockable with shields, but maybe I missed that one. This is a good change. I like this. Being able to block explosive damage is very, very nice. Doesn't really make sense, but, like, you know, I prefer it to be able to block it than not block it, and now that you can block it, I'm happy. It's a good thing. Makes the IBM fight a lot easier because you can block the damage from the explosions rather than trying to run away into a corner. Summon Thorns was reduced on the red strategist armor from 50% to 25%. They still stack. I've been told that this is still a very good armor set, however, despite the nerf, if you use the Thorns build, so, you know, I think they were just balancing it out to make it a little more fair, because it was extremely overpowered before. Thorns now deals true damage, which just means that the damage type kind of bypasses all sort of resistances and weaknesses to enemies, which is pretty good, I guess. You can go back to befriended ant queens and get a new baby if your prior baby ant pet has died or was lost. So if you go to an ant queen, you befriend it, and then you get a baby, and then you go home, and somehow your baby has disappeared, you can go back to the same ant queen and talk to it again, as long as you haven't New Game Plus yet, and it will give you a new pet. Very, very cool, very useful. This is basically, we know our pets are completely broken, so here's a temporary fix to allow you to get new pets if it happens to one of your baby ants. Hopefully they actually fix the pets soon, because there's a lot of issues with them just magically disappearing. They lowered the stun of two-handed axe weapons, which makes sense because they were very, very high stun and kind of OP, honestly, with how much stun they had. And they increased the stun on the two-handed clubs, which again, deserved. Clubs deserve to have the most stun. They already did, but now they have even more. And yes, two-handed clubs I'm in love with, especially the infused club of the Mother Demon, very, very powerful. Remixed Yard, quality of life. A new module is accessible in the ASL station while in New Game Plus, remote access to the Super Duper machine. When duplicating or deduplicating, you can now skip. Let's start with this first one. The new module in the ASL terminal is very cool. You can access the deduper from anywhere in the yard. I don't think this was necessary, to be honest, because the only advantage to this is in multiplayer now, multiple people can dedupe at once by going to, one goes to the deduper, one goes to an ASL, and if you want more than that, you need to go to other ASLs. That's cool, don't get me wrong. However, for one person, it's not going to make much of a difference. You can set up a quicker fast travel, you can have a teleporter to right outside of a field station, instead of outside the Oak Lab and running all the way in and out every time. That saves a bit of time. This is true. However, it doesn't save time in the sense that I'm not going to be running across the yard and think, oh my god, my inventory's full. Let me go super duper real quick at the super duper in the field station. Because if I was thinking that, I would just plop down my teleporter that I have always in my inventory, teleport home, put all the stuff in a chest, teleport back. Simple as that. So, it doesn't help in that sense, but I guess it is useful, especially in multiplayer. When duping or deduping, you can skip the animation. This is a good change. It is much faster now to dupe or dedupe. However, I still would like it so that you can dupe or dedupe multiple items at a time. I think this would be a better way to do it. So you could select multiple items to dedupe, or you could select an item to dupe and select the quantity that you would like to duplicate. I think these would both be good things. Clients that join a New Game Plus world will have their starting Milk Molar stats matched up to the host. Yeah, so basically, if your host was in New Game Plus and you wanted to join for the first time, you would lose all of those molars from pre-New Game Plus, whereas now when you join, you will gain the exact same stats as the player who is the host of the world. So if they collected all the molars pre-New Game Plus, you'll now have all of the effects from those molars, which is very nice. Remixed Yard changes. Infusion effects that creatures get will be more random instead of almost having explosive damage. So in New Game Plus 1, they would always have explosive damage. I thought this was just weird, but apparently it was a bug. Now it's fixed. Plus unarmed damage effect can now be found on randomized trinkets. Yes, you can get unarmed damage effect. This is for fist builds. Don't know why you'd want to use it. Fists are terrible, but it's a new effect to clog up the system for a bunch of other random trash effects that exist. Bunch of effects got buffed. So, creature-specific effects were increased, such as Black Widow damage or Broodmother damage, from 10% to 30%. This makes things like Broodmother damage, Infected Broodmother damage, Wasp Queen damage, Mantis damage, all equivalent to the boss damage, so those are like interchangeable now, they all do 30%. Damage resist will increase to from 10 to 50, which makes, the damage resist really strong. Block strength increased from 25 to 100. This is like the block gauge, basically, in the bottom right when you hold block. If you're not parrying attacks, this means it's going to be much better. Max health and max stamina increased massively. Obviously, this makes sense because 100 health is way better, and by the time you get to really high New Game Pluses, you have really high health anyways. Hyper stamina increased, attack stamina increased, exhaustion recovery increased, sprint distance increased, the quickness was increased. This works, by the way, the quickness, on infused weapons and trinkets, and they stack. So the quickest you can be now is Aphid Slippers, Natural Explorer, a quickness infused weapon, and a quickness trinket, and you zoom across the yard at like record speeds, like your Usain Bolt running a 100 meters. It is crazy. It's actually really fun as well. I really like this change. I've been running around with a trinket with loot look and quickness on, and then a little pebblet infused dagger that has quickness and loot look on it, and it's so useful. It's insane. I love it so much. Please never change this because I absolutely adore being able to run across the yard so quickly. Poison resist, don't really care for this. Explosive resist, I like they're getting buffed. They deserve to be buffed because explosive resist before was only 10%. I didn't know that, but that would make it worse in theory than the fungal charm, and it should be better. So Star Crusher damage resist reduction increased. Again, I'm not really a fan of this Star Crusher ability. It's on the Salt Morningstar, which is kind of pointless because the Salt Morningstars already does generic damage, which most things aren't resistant to anyways. Arcane Archer damage resist reduction. This is for bows. This is a really good one. Actually makes the bows extremely powerful now because of some of the other changes as well further down. Bows are insanely good, especially crossbows. Fresh Mage stamina, don't care. Spicy Mage attack buff, don't care. Sour Mage charge time, don't care. I can't believe this got into the game where they magically managed to mess this up so that it increases your charged shot time. Like, did someone not equip a trinket with Sour Mage and go and shoot a singular charge shot with the Sour Staff to test it? That's baffling to me that this made it through as a bug into the game, but we move. Wizard's defense proc chance increased. Fixed plus bow attack. I didn't even notice that. Bow attack major was increased from 25 to 20 to 25, and bow attack best was increased from 30 to 50. 50 is insane. It's the same as like all the other bests, so it makes sense. But trust me, crossbow with like arcane archer, bow attack best, and then like implant weakness from whatever the enemy is, or like fresh damage at best. Insane. You can like 5-shot most bosses. It's really broken. Trickle regen increase from 1 HP per 10 seconds to 2. Pretty good. Guard dog increase from 50% to 100%. Not even their patch notes can be correct because it's not called guard dog. The effect is called defense event attack. And let me tell you, increasing it to 100% is insane for the Java-matic. You want to get an infused weapon once you're on New Game Plus 4 with this ability on, and you also want to get a trinket with defense event attack on if possible. It is the best effect for taking down the Java-matic. It is literally broken. I was 3-shotting Black Ox Beetles on New Game Plus yesterday. I was 1-shotting the Orc Fire Ants. I was 1-shotting the Orc Fire Soldier Ants. I was 1-shotting Orc Fireflies, 2-shotting Orc Mosquitoes. It is beyond broken. It's so strong. It's amazing. You absolutely have to use it on the Java-matic. It's also going to be really powerful on the mixers if for some reason you decide to do those in New Game Plus, which, by the way, should give you extra science, but they just don't, which is a scam. Tenderfoot offense and defense were increased. These are two of the worst effects in the game. They increase your damage and defense against tier 1 creatures. Who cares? Finale damage was increased, which is cool, I guess. Fixed implant weakness sour and salty using the implant weakness fresh text. This was annoying. They also still haven't fixed the spicy damage up best. It still has the wrong text. It says spicy damage up major, so you can never get spicy damage up best right now. And there is also one that has arrow refund, where you can get arrow refund twice on a trinket. This is because, again, the text is wrong. I don't know what it's supposed to say, but devs, if you're watching, both of those are still broken. Hopefully they can be fixed by the next patch. Fury can now trigger on Samurai and Mad Scientist. Pretty cool. Increased damage infusion effect on infused creatures and no longer also increases the damage of other infusion effects. So essentially, infused creature, supposed to do more damage, but also the abilities it had were doing more damage. Like, it was being increased by that multiplier, which it shouldn't have been, which is why things like shocking damage or spicy infusions or sour infusion were so powerful, whereas now they're going to be nowhere near as powerful. Having played the game, I do agree these do less damage now, which is better because you don't get one shot as much as you did before. There is still the opportunity to get one shot, which is pretty annoying, but it doesn't happen as much as it did. The infused weapons have 2 random effects instead of 1. This is good and bad. It's good because you can get more powerful infused weapons. It's bad because you now have to reroll for 7 centuries. Before, there would have been about 90 combos of infused, like, effects on your weapon. Now there is about 8,000 combos, and, 5 to 10 of them will be really, really good that you want to keep. So you have to reroll for a long time. It's like shiny hunting in Pokemon pretty much. But I kind of like it and kind of hate it at the same time. It's an interesting one. We'll see how it goes as time moves on. Burgle's old flipper now has 2 random effects. A lot of people were saying to me as soon as it's released, Paraly5er, they messed up. It has 3 effects. It has 3 effects. It has 3 effects. They're going to fix it. I don't think this is true. I think just one of the effects by default is a Victory Feast that's literally always on this weapon, and everyone was telling me that they added more effects. I just don't think that's true. I think you're all making stuff up. But yeah, it technically has 3 effects. One of them is always going to be Victory Feast, and then 2 extra random effects. This could be really useful if you get it with, I guess, Mad Scientist, and then a Mad Scientist Trinket. I wonder if those stack. Good question. Maybe I'll have to test that for a myth busting. Anyways, Assistant Manager can now trigger laser and shock pillars, and lasers will spin faster with each remixed level. Sounds like good fun. I can't wait for the lasers to go at 1,000,000 miles an hour, instantly killing me. I'm excited. Similar candy weapons acquired from New Game Plus now have different finale effects. A lot of people crying about this. Sizzle Striker has Finale Aftershock, the Wallopino has Finale Fury. They changed it so the Frosted Flake, for example, and the Battle Axe have a Finale Stamina Surge now. Now, last update, everyone was crying because they all had the same abilities and they literally were identical weapons, just with different skins. Now everyone's crying that the weapons are different from each other because they've upgraded them. I understand. You wanted them to have different effects as soon as it released, but at least they've fixed their mistake. It's a bit late. I wish I could recoup my crystals that I've put into all of these weapons, but the reality is it doesn't really matter because by the time you get to New Game Plus 4, you're going to just switch to infused weapons anyway. So I would just keep whichever weapons you've used all your upgrade crystals on until you get to New Game Plus 4, and then switch to infused weapons. Is it annoying? Yes. However, is it a change for the better in the long run? Absolutely. These weapons deserve to have different abilities from each other. Salt Chipper properly utilizes Smasher. This was in my most recent myth busting, funnily enough, and they actually fixed it. Yes, it shouldn't utilize Barbarian, it should utilize Smasher, and it does now. Thank you. This is the first weapon that's good that can utilize Smasher, and I'll definitely be utilizing it a bit because it reduces enemy attack speed, which will be really useful, especially against like the Assistant Manager, for example, where you want him to trigger the lasers as little as possible. So, a very good change. Major fixes. Creatures attacking the waft emitter are no longer randomly invulnerable. I don't know how true this is. I feel like I've still heard some people saying they're getting invulnerable creatures, but hopefully it has actually been fixed in the most recent update. It was annoying, especially from raids you can get them as well, but I think they fixed that one in the last patch. The loot delay being changed back is a really good fix in my opinion. I'm happy with that one. They fixed the milk molar that spawned underwater. There was literally no issue with this. You could quite literally farm it. And that means my milk molar guide has one molar, which is now incorrect because they decided to change the location. They should have just left it there and just let people figure it out because it could be harvested. You just had to utilize your brain power, which most people unfortunately couldn't do, so they had to move it. But yes, I don't know why they feel the need to fix things like this that are basically a non-issue. It wasn't a problem. People just didn't utilize their brains. This is a good fix. The web sacks in the Hedge Broodmother fight no longer trigger the infusion effects. This was pretty much killing me every single time I was playing the game. Basically, the Broodmother would jump backwards, landing on her web sacks, and it would damage the web sacks, which would trigger all of her effects. And the web sacks are invulnerable, so you could just go over and break them to get rid of them. It was horrendous, and I'm glad they've fixed it. It was one of the most annoying things in the world. It actually makes the Broodmother fight about 10 times easier now. This fight is much more manageable with the infused Broodmother, and I think most people will find this much, much easier going forward. The health and stamina bar on the Scabby now show properly. Very happy with this. I really like this change. It looks much, much cleaner and much, much better. It's a very good change indeed. The infected Broodmother's final phase scream doesn't trigger the infusion effects. Thank God. This was, again, one of the most annoying things in the world. You get to stage 3, the infected Broodmother would scream, and for some reason, all of her abilities start going off. Wasn't intentional, was meant to be fixed in the last patch, but wasn't, and now it's finally fixed. Thank God for that. There was a bug with Chopper where it was using Blade Master's Mastery effect. I hadn't even noticed it, but it's been fixed. I guess that's good. You can't build sap catches in the Mantis Arena for all you cheesy people trying to cheat the game. Stop it. They fixed it, you weirdos. And yeah, that's everything in the newest patch. Hopefully I broke that down pretty well. Thank you to the devs as always for their hard work. And I'm sure there'll be a few more patches coming up. For those who are wondering about tier lists, I'm waiting at least for another 1 or 2 patches for them to change anything else they want to change before I make a tier list. Because, like, you know, I could make a tier list on all these effects right now, and then they randomly rebalance them, and then they're just completely useless at that point. So, yes, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like on it. I'll see you in the next Grounded video. Have a great rest of your day.